Dames en heren, de volgende spreker is Tim Buesing van Reactive. Hij won het afgelopen jaar een Black Pencil bij de D&AD. Hij heeft een enorme... He sprouted a huge publicity wave online with a movie he made to campaign for children with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. His talk is about creating emotions online. Please welcome Tim Buesing.
Hi guys, thank you for having me in this beautiful city. Goedemiddag, hoe gaat het? I know those. The guys from DDD, they asked me if I would like to do something that I hadn't done before, and one of the things was giving a talk in a football jersey, so here we go. Go the Socceroos. There's my name, Tim Buesing from Reactive. We work in Australia, but we also have offices in Europe and the US. We're a digital creative agency, just like you guys, and I'm really excited that so many of you came today to this wonderful venue, which is getting hotter every minute. Let's talk about football for a minute, because I'm wearing this jersey, and also because I'm very surprised that all of you came and you didn't spend the week in the pub like you should, you know, because of your wonderful Dutch team, the Oranje, playing so well. So really respect for that. Thank you also for kicking us out of the tournament. Thank you very much. I must say, we felt like we deserved a win, but you guys are so awesome, so we wish you all the best. Does anyone know what the idea of a second team is? Has anyone heard of the concept of the second team? It's a concept that you have to adopt another team in case yours gets eliminated. It's a very familiar concept to English football fans, but it's also very familiar to us Aussies. And obviously losing to you guys leads me to believe that maybe I should adopt the Dutch national team now as my second team. So going forward... now we're 3 minutes into the talk. Oh, sorry. How do I do that? How do I do... Oh, this. There we go. Now we're 3 minutes into the talk and I'm still talking about football. And you probably paid very good euros to talk about digital transformations, right? So I can you can rest assured I'm actually going to talk about a transformation from knowing very little about something to knowing quite a lot about something, and also from not feeling anything about something to feeling something very quickly and very intensely and very personally. And that is, the title of my talk is Creating Emotions Online and How a Robot Transformed Australian Politics for Good. And so the robots played a very vital role in this nice animation here with our fellow, sorry I don't know your name, but I remember you from the video sort of calming that powerful windmill. I don't know if you've seen the video, but it was very funny. And that's what we're all about, right? We want to see robots, because robots are cool and they're very powerful and they have lasers. So I'm going to show you a robot that didn't have lasers, but it was still very powerful and changed the world for a lot of people. Before I continue, I would like to show the case study for this particular piece that we did called The Most Powerful Arm Ever Invented. But at the same time, I'm going to use that little break to put on the Dutch jersey so that for the rest of the talk, I can actually wear the right jersey. You can tweet your comments and questions under this hashtag in case you feel like it. What we're going to do is actually that the robot writes your comment and your question back in Sydney. That's where the robot actually is. And we're somehow going to get that comment to you in handwritten form, but you're going to see it in a second.
Dear Prime Minister, I'm one of thousands of young Australians with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. My heart and breathing muscles are failing, and my arms are so weak I can no longer lift a pen. Eventually, it will take my life. Clinical trials are the only hope we have, but we need the money to fund them. Can you please help us? Signed, Jacob Lancaster.
Charities Save Our Sons and the Duchenne Foundation needed to find a way to bring DMD to the attention of the Australian government, but we needed a way to stand out. Constructed out of laser-cut bamboo and 3D printed joints, we built the world's first petition-signing robot, asking the government to bring clinical trials to Australia. We asked 19-year-old DMD sufferer Jacob Lancaster to be the face of the campaign. And to make the arm even more powerful, we gave it Jacob's handwriting, sampled from the last thing he was able to write, a Mother's Day card. With zero paid media to spend, we relied on free television, radio, press, and online publicity to direct users to the fully responsive campaign website. Entirely driven by Facebook, we used their analytics system to authenticate and verify supporter details. As well as streaming live video of the signings, a photo of the user's signature was instantly uploaded from the site to their Facebook wall. The arm then toured as a public installation so people could see their signature firsthand, prompting others to sign using their phones. The campaign resulted in over 6.7 million Facebook impressions and over 32,000 signatures, with an astonishing 48% conversion rate. Each user clocked an average dwell time of over 2.5 minutes. A scroll of over 32,000 signatures was presented to the Australian government in Canberra, making it the most successful health-related petition ever, becoming the first Facebook petition to be officially tabled by the Senate. All of this giving much-needed hope to boys suffering from DMD.
Thank you. As you've seen here in the last sort of sentence, luckily we are already in the process of starting trials, but these transformations have taken place on numerous levels. As the voiceover said, we also managed to be accepted as a petition to the Australian government or to the Parliament without having physical signatures. So something that previously was not legally accepted because it just wasn't defined. And I believe that sometimes you just got to do things to challenge politicians or establish structures to move it an inch forward. I think if we had gone forward and first asked for the permission to use Facebook as an authenticator for a petition, obviously it would have taken years and gone nowhere. But if you just do it, it sort of kind of works. The key components of all these transformations I want to talk about, I'm going to be specific about the project, but at the same time I believe that you get the most out of it if you can take something away that means something to what you're doing. And I'm sure some of you are in agencies, some of you are in startups or in big companies, and you're trying to transform the organization. And maybe something out of this helps you come up with a new idea that creates emotions, because ultimately I believe we're often getting it wrong. We're often sort of getting lost in the technology, or we're getting lost in the geek chic of things, and we don't quite get to the core of the emotional quality of what we want to say so that people can act. The first thing that I want to mention is get physical. We did create a robot, and that robot was the condensed idea of signing a petition for those people who can't anymore because the kids are actually too weak to hold a pen. At the same time, the arm was a perfect sort of object to manifest your thoughts around and your emotions and kind of remember it and share it with others because it was such a powerful physical shape. So I would ask you, for example, what is your perfect object that would encapsulate what you're trying to do and try to be symbolic about it and create something around it that people feel energized by and remember it and want to take it further. And maybe, like in our case, maybe even that object can be the transferal point from on to offline or the other way around, from offline to online. So maybe there's something in there that you can use in your work. If you look at the arm, because it is an arm and essentially a human part of our body, even though it has this sort of wooden, plastic, wiry feel to it, it still has quite a nice human aesthetic, and it has that Zen quality of craft and wood, and it also makes sounds as it moves. So it's quite a thing that you can enjoy just watching. The second point is stirring an emotion, and we're all keen to make a difference, right? I mean, there's hardly anyone here in the room who would say that they're just doing their job, and that's why you're here. If you come to work, you're actually trying to make something that stands out, and you're not here to just sort of get by and maybe do your 8 hours and that's it. So if you want to stand out, you have to stir an emotion, and it has to be a deep-seated emotion. I don't believe the love of gadgets is a very deep-seated emotion. The deep-seated emotion has to be something that is so fundamental that anyone on the planet can feel it. And obviously, we used the story of Jacob as an example for all the kids, but also everyone who knew them and everyone who's connected to them, especially their parents, on what it means to have that disease. So the real heroes of the campaigns are Jacob Lancaster and his mother, pictured here. And the core emotional quality that we tried to sort of bring across was parents' love for their children. And anyone who has children, especially young ones, can empathize with the plight that you feel if you have a child that has a disease, because you don't want anything to happen to your children. And so we also directed a lot of our strategy towards talking to young mothers, because we knew that they would feel that the most, and they would feel the empathy the most, and therefore sort of be ready to take the message further. Jacob himself is 19 years old, and he's battling this disease, and probably these trials won't help him in particular. So he's so brave to say that he was going to be the face of the campaign, and he keeps campaigning for it because he knows it might help actually children and young boys after him. The next point has to do with a lot of our attention span that has shrunk to something like 140 characters and these seconds and minutes that we devote to things online. And you know, everyone here in the room knows the feeling of hitting a website or hitting some sort of content and then feeling after 30 seconds like, ah, yeah, whatever, you know, and you just sort of scroll past and you go to another one of your 32 tabs on your browser. So if you want to stop people in their track and really get to somewhere where they hold hold steady and just talk to somebody else about it and really invest some time and invest some thoughts and share it with others, you have to reward them immediately. And it has to happen so quickly that they don't even realize that they're sticking with a message here. In this case, people could see the live video stream immediately. They did not have to sign the petition. They could just click through and see what the robot was doing right now. They might see other people's names being written, and it was something that was immediately rewarding. If you did engage, obviously it was rewarding because you felt like you could help. You know, it was taking a picture of your signature. It was your name. It was written in a typeface that was emulated after Jacob's handwriting, and that was posted back to your own Facebook wall, so visible to everyone else. I'm not telling you anything new, that Facebook is the best way to get that message out there and get people become aware of what you're doing, and it's a great vehicle to construct your personality in a way. You know, many people who engaged with this felt like they were engaging with it and also letting other people know that they did, and therefore make them realize, you know, that they are a good person and support the right cause. If you look at the photo here, this was one of the installations, so we installed it in several locations, and it was instantly gratifying just to see the robot in action, but at the same time, if you used your phone, you could see your own name there being written on the scroll, and you could sort of follow the activity of the robot right there and then, and that was incredibly rewarding. Something else that led to my next point, which is to go mobile. And many of you in the industry, you've probably heard that so many times, and you've heard it for 10 years, and now finally, you know, people are investing a lot into it, but often I find that these discussions are still about the phone or the tablet itself as a device. So we're doing responsive design, and we're doing some sort of you know, fancy footwork in terms of asset management or how we program everything or how big we design the buttons. But first and foremost, you got to think about the concept of mobility. What does it mean that I'm actually on the go? What does it mean that I'm sitting on the couch and maybe leaning back and sort of consuming some content or engaging with an idea? What does it mean that I don't have very much time? Or what does it mean that I'm actually looking at it on my phone, which is my most personal computing device? So go mobile, think about what you can add to your campaign, to your idea, to your application that would be so significant that mobility would be supported and be quite rewarding. This video here is was actually taken on the day we launched the robot, and it features Ahmed, who is kind of the father of the robot itself, who has played a pivotal role in the development. And what he's showing there is actually how his own personal Facebook feed lit up with all these photos, so that he could see all his friends and all the people that he knew suddenly doing the same thing inside of minutes and seconds. And that was quite a powerful impression for us that somehow we must have gotten it right. If you look at the traffic, I thought the whole experience would be so complex that people just wouldn't do it on the phone. I thought, yeah, of course you have to look at it on the desktop. You have to sort of have the widescreen. You have to look at the big picture. But it wasn't true. We had roughly 50% of the traffic came from phones and tablets, and therefore supporting again the argument that you just have to cater to this need and to this special user situation. This is a photo here from when we took the scroll to the Australian Parliament. The funny thing about this is, have you ever tried rolling up toilet paper? You know, when you sort of give it too much of a yank and suddenly you have like all the paper on the ground? It's perfectly impossible, right? So we had to pay a specialist who could actually roll up paper back to this gigantic scroll. So there's a job, a special job description, paper roller. But what it did do, what it helped, was that we could take this object, which had been accumulated over weeks of this campaign, and sort of turn it into this gigantic roll that you could actually put on the table, and as the politicians are doing here, sort of unfold it and unroll it. And it was kind of hard to ignore it. If you were confronted with this as an object of the campaign, then it was quite a powerful statement. But what I mean to say with this point, setting a goal, is that you should think about something that would actually create a story arc for whatever you're doing, something that points to the horizon, that you feel like, okay, my involvement is actually important. It matters what I do right now because I'm contributing to something bigger. There can be a calendar day, there can be signatures, amount of signatures, as in our case, there can be a value of something, there can be, just making a painting together, whatever it is. But we showed that actually this was all or nothing. If you did not engage and we wouldn't reach 20,000 signatures, the whole thing would be in vain. It was kind of a drama of all or nothing, and that helped us to sort of very, very quickly actually reach the 20,000, which I think we reached after 7 or 8 days. The next point is simplify the tech, and I'm sure, who here in the room has active coding experience or built stuff in their career? Okay, that's probably a third of you at least. And I can empathize with having gone through all this stuff myself, and sort of JavaScripting and lingo writing. So I'm outing myself here. The whole macromedia thing. I didn't really enjoy it very much, but every time I sort of completed something, I felt really proud, and I felt like, well, people had to know how complicated it was that I programmed this thing. But the fact of the matter is, your audience does not care. That's not important. Nobody gives a shit, really. How many hours and lines of code went into things? Nobody is probably wrong, because there's case study videos you can make that actually entice some people to dig deeper, and that is valuable as well. But the majority of your audience will not care. And you have to look at, how can I simplify the tech to a point that it becomes beautiful and sort of clean and easy to understand and digest, and something that people will really want to engage with. If you look at the table here, this is a photo, obviously, of the first installation in the museum in Sydney in Customs House. You see the robot arm, you see 2 cameras, one for live video, one for stills, and you see the paper scroll. What you don't see is the 2 PCs, the 4 Arduino boards, the internet aggregator. You don't see the Facebook API, the video streaming, the queuing software, all these fancy bits that some of us really care about, but nobody had to see it. It's kind of like going into a magician's show. You don't want to know how he actually made that tiger disappear, or that woman, lose her head and then have it sewn back on or something. You don't really want to know, You want to see the magic in it. And the same way, you kind of accept that, yeah, of course this robot is taking my name from Facebook. Yeah, well, why shouldn't it, And it's writing it. And then it's posting it back to my wall. I think this is my second to last point. Build it and they will come. You might remember this line from Kevin Costner's Field of Dreams, when he was building this baseball field, and then all these sort of fancy heroes from the past of baseball would come. And we used it a lot of times in digital presentations as a joke, as saying, don't build your website and they will come. That's not going to work. You have to use better systems like that. In our case, I would say it was the opposite. You have to build it to excite your partners, to get the publishers on board, to get some free media from somewhere, to get people to volunteer and work their ass off over the weekend. You really need to build something. And what we did, and Emad in particular did with his team, was to create something that is a prototype. And I'm going to show you a video here that is very dear to me. This was a very early version of the robot. And it's in Emad's office. And it's currently writing my name next to his, as he was demonstrating what the robot could do to get us on board. And I still have that piece of paper. I took it from that day and I sort of put it up over my desk. It's on my wall. Because to me it proves that unless you're actually doing something, you're just talking about it. And by God, we have enough people talking about stuff and not enough people actually making stuff. Keep reusing your idea. If you work in a big advertising agency, that's probably the last thing you want to say in a meeting, like, yeah, let's reuse that old idea. That's probably the worst thing you can do and gets you fired in a creative position. If you really understand a topic so well, and if you have built things and if you've engaged with people, I'm not saying we should build another arm and sort of do it again the same way for a different cause. That's obviously not the point, but you understand so many things that it would be a waste to not build an evolution out of that and really understand something else and mash it up with another thing that you might have in mind. and just keep evolving. It's a really rich territory that keeps evolving, and me sort of talking to you is obviously an outcome of that as well. This is another video that EMET took. They actually looked at the robot again and said, like, why don't we build a robotic orchestra? And they managed to turn that into a video for Intel. And this is just a demo, and this shows you how you can A, excite people by just building it, and B, how you can also evolve an idea. So with a bit of Daft Punk, you can get a lot of projects over the line, I think. So let me wrap it up by saying share what you know. I mean, this is a no-brainer, and I'm sure you're very, very much aware of this. Going to conferences like this, sharing what you've learned and sharing with as many people as possible is a great thing. We also made all the plans to actually build this robot, and all the laser cut designs, they're all accessible, so you can download it. If you want to build an arm like this, you obviously can, and you can turn it into something else, because we believe that building on top of what we know already is a good thing. Now, this is my summary here of the things that I said. You know, try to get physical. What's the object that you can take away that condenses what you want to do, that people can hold on to? And stirring an emotion, something really deep-seated that is so basic, like love for your children, is obviously something that is deeply rooted in all of us. Reward immediately, because as Sir Ken Robinson said, you know, we don't have all minute. People are getting incredibly impatient, and there's a legion of cute kittens that you can look at online. Go mobile. Think about the concept of mobility, something that can really make a difference to somebody who's on the go. Set a goal so that the story arc can actually help you transport the energy forward and build a horizon for it. Simplify the tech, because it always helps if something is shiny and easy to understand, and the making of is for the specialty audience. And build it and they will come, because sometimes you just have to live up to your words and demonstrate what you're doing will work. And reusing your idea is obviously something that in your practice will hopefully help you sort of evolve your creative prowess. Now let's come back to the most important thing, which is football. And this is your favorite team, isn't it? As you might know, lots of people in Australia aren't really Australians because they were born elsewhere. And as you could tell from my accent and my last name, I wasn't born in Australia. But 200 kilometers to the east of here, on the wrong side of Groningen, on the German side. So I am in the luxury position of actually having not only a second team in the Dutch, but also I have a second first team, which is Germany. And the DDD guys, they asked me to put something out there that would really provoke everyone. And I said, okay, if I can put on a Dutch jersey, just in case we drop out of the tournament, maybe you can find it in your heart to support the Germans. How about that? That should be provocative. So I say thank you for your time, dank je wel. And it was really great being here. Great venue, great people. The robot says thank you as well. And while you're saying thank you, I'm just going to quickly put on the German jersey.
So, questions for the German.
German
So that was a very invitational. Questions from the room.
Well, first of all, I forgot that if you put on 3 jerseys, it's getting really hot in here.
Well, in this room, it's even hot if you don't have 3, but just 1 jersey. I'll kick it off and then we'll go to the room again. I have a kid now, so I basically cry about everything, and this movie almost made me cry, so which made me sort of curse you for it, and made me wonder, could you do this for a cigarette company?
Well, cigarette company is probably the hardest brand to work for. I think.
But the 8 principles you just showed me. So we don't have a kid with Duchenne, but we have the unfairness of the government going for cigarette companies.
Okay, that's a complicated scenario. That's a really. I need a brief for that. I need a real brief for that.
Okay.
But I think if you understand humanity and you know how your brains work and how your emotions work, you can apply it to almost any product. I ethically wouldn't be interested in working on a brief for a cigarette company, but I do understand that if people did, they could probably take these concepts, or at least some of them, and really do something really interesting. And admittedly, if people dig smoking and somebody was into that, you know, they might create something really emotional and interesting for these people.
Can be done in almost any field.
Sorry?
It can be done in almost any field.
Yeah, I would say so. I try to keep it really general, and I know that this is an emotional topic, so it's a little bit easier to sort of you know, come into the hearts of people. But people are passionate about all kinds of stuff, and so why not apply it to something like fly fishing? You know, if that's your passion, you can do that.
Dutch Postal Company or something.
Or
anyone working for PostNL here? No, can really get excited about snail mail. We'll try it. Questions from the room? I know it's hot, but I think there's at least one question floating out there.
How do we beat the Germans?
It's the jersey, I think. Okay, it's oxygen time again, back in 5. Thank you, and a big round of applause for Tim.
Thank you.